Good afternoon. Thank you for the views on my last video. I'm very much gratified. I'd like to see some more subs, please. I know it has been roughly 10 days since I last did the video, but I am trying to keep up with doing videos, but having something to show in said videos. As you can see by the side of me at the moment, I am conducting construction of my third Warhound Titan. However, I have another Warhound Titan I built last week, which is actually in the process of being painted as we speak. Before I show it off, I just want to construct it fully. I've painted or primed most of it now, and painting it in the relevant pieces, and then when it's ready, hopefully in a week or two, I would like to show it off to you guys. We'll be talking about Adeptus Titanicus, but I will lead up to what led me to purchase Adeptus Titanicus. I have two different boxes of Adeptus Titanicus, but let's start with a little history lesson. Roughly, 30 odd years ago, I didn't know anything at all. I went into Games Workshop store, which is more or less my first encounter with the hobby, and fell in love with a game called Space Marine. Now, there are two versions of Space Marine. There is a version of Space Marine that comes with just infantry, buildings, that kind of thing, but there is also the second edition of Space Marine, which came with not only Space Marines, but it came with a Titan, a veritable Warlord Titan. I do have some of those Titans away, as they were initially came out for a game called Adeptus Titanicus, and we'll get back to that later on. Now, Space Marine had three armies. You had Space Marines with Land Raiders, Rhinos and infantry. You had Orcs with Orc Boys and Battle Wagons. As a side note, those Battle Wagons are collector's pieces these days. You could probably 3D print them now, and they're a far cry to the modern Battle Wagon, which has been around for some time now. But this was basically an open top vehicle where basically as many models as you could fit onto the deck of this vehicle was the amount of boys you could carry into a battlefield, which not good for your models if they fall out on the battlefield. Anyway, the Land Raiders and those became very difficult to get hold of. Things like the Rhino and the Rhino variants were easier to get a hold of. Anyway, I digress. Then Space Marine was relaunched, technically a third edition Space Marine, but it also came out with a sister box called the Titan Legions. This, for the first time, this came with a massive Imperator Titan, probably one of the bigger models they made at the time, and Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights have been put to one side. I believe they were around in the very, very early days, but they just vanished. The second edition Knights, if you like, or third edition Knights, they did in all the households, all the different Knights that you can buy today. Strangely enough, these are all Adeptus Titanicus in plastic. At the time, you did get the basic Knight as plastic, but all the other Knights came in metal. So you could buy 3 Knights in a blister pack, and that would be your small Knight detachment. This game also relied on cards, which at the time was nice to create a force using cards, and it would have an illustration. I may show the cards if I can find some. but an illustration of what you needed in that squad on that card. You could field Titan battle groups, which in those days were 3 Titans and all of various classes apart from the 2 Scout Titans, which are Warhound Titans, which I currently am constructing and painting. As you can see by the side of me, this is one of them. I'm going to give him some feet after this video and sort out his body so that it's a bit more to work with. Now the original stuff was all 6mm. You got expansions of most of the models which they didn't make in plastic, you made in metal. So for example, Imperial Guard would get super heavy tanks, all metal. I had about 4 or 5, and one of them was absolutely crazy. The monstrosity, I can't remember its name at this second in time, but it had 4 battle cannons, which in its own right is completely insane. Anyway, then you had Epic 40,000. Now Epic 40,000 was amazing. Unfortunately I never got my hands on this at the time because I was taking my first hiatus from the hobby. So unfortunately I did miss Epic 40,000. Unfortunately it wasn't very popular. However, the infantry in there was amazing. You got Space Marine command squads of Tech Marines, librarians, chaplains, and on bikes, in the box set. Very, very difficult, I suspect, to get hold of today. I haven't tried looking. I was lucky enough to get the metal ones, but we'll get onto the metal ones very shortly. Anyway, Epic 40,000 bombed. It's a shame, really, because Epic 40,000 had a diverse range of models. Most of them were metal. They redid the Warlord Titan. They made it bigger, meaner, but it made out of metal, so it looked more looked like something from Terminator 2. That was metal as well. The Warhounds weren't redone. Neither were most of the other models. Most of the other models were just carried over. So you had Warhound Titans, you had Reaver Titans, which is the medium range Titan, and then Warlord Battle Titans, and then last but not least, you could at that time buy Imperator Titans. And I regret to say I would like to have had a few of those, but you know, at the time I was a kid and didn't have any real income stream at the time. Anyway, after that I did have a hiatus, as I said. They did do in Epic 40,000 a brand new Titan. This was bigger and meaner than the Titan Legion's Titan. This was metal again, nice model, quite big. They didn't redo any of the others, although from scouring images on, well, it's unclear, but images, there was a strange new Eldar Titan, although I loved the original Eldar Titans. They were amazing. I mean, they're so graceful and elegant compared to the clunky big Imperial Titans. Anyway, Epic Tyranids finally came into the game, so they got their own versions of Titans. Most of the races had their versions of Titans, apart from the Squats. Squats didn't have Titans. They had things like land trains, the Colossus, so big land vehicles with massive cannons or weapon systems of various types on them. Now, most of this stuff, unfortunately, is consigned to history. I suspect that I'm not condoning 3D printing by any means. if you're making something that is unique and not incurring on an IP, by all means. And if you were like trying to get a part which you could not necessarily get, which was out of production, again, possibly. But when you're sort of then, 3D printers should be for personal use. It should be like if you're making something perhaps a non-profit, there is a lot of issues with 3D printing, and they still go on today. 3D printing issues have been going on for a long time. I do not have a 3D printer myself, as I do not have the space currently to have one. However, I would probably use it for other things, possibly scenery and all that kind of stuff, but not scenery that was already existed, but files that you can buy, as there are clubs where you can join, where you get X amount of models per month which you can print for a nominal fee. Anyway, that's off subject. So, Epic Armageddon was the last version of Epic out. They realigned themselves. They did the Steel Legion as an Imperial Guard regiment. They did Space Marines. You got lots of metal kits. So I got a metal Space Marine command squad with your chaplain, apothecary, everything on a metal frame, if you like, or a metal sprue. The problem with Epic Armageddon wasn't really a problem as such. They kept the Titan from the previous edition, they kept most of the kits from the previous edition, but the model, they just ran out of ideas. Epic Armageddon is a very, very good book. I am actually lucky enough to have it. I should have prepared a little bit better for that. In fact, I'll do a video another time on Epic Armageddon. That's a deep dive if you like. Anyway, sadly in 2004 it got retired. Well, about 2004, 2005 got retired. They bought out, before this happened, Chaos Space Marines, and you'd have a release window, 2 release windows a year. Everything moved to Specialist Games, and basically the game just disappeared. All the models disappeared, went into limbo, which was quite sad really. So a lot of players probably went to 40k and what was then Warhammer Fantasy, as they were still going strong. The things like Blood Bowl and everything else, they just went. Specialist Games became a thing, and 14 years later, well, less than 14 years later, I think it was about 2015, I think it was about 2018, 2019. Forgive me if I'm wrong. There was whispers about it for a long time, and then it came. They have Adeptus Titanicus. Now, there have been original version of this. I actually have original Adeptus Titanicus because it came in a box set with about 10 Titans, 10 plastic Warlord Titans, and you could make all the weapons options apart from the metal ones, which are again extremely rare, and some of them were amazing, like one of them where you could have Terminators to board that enemy Titan. Anyway, they're concentrating on this version. The current Titans I'm building are Warhound Titans. These, I have all 3 versions of said Titans, but they all differ in size. So the next would be a Reaver. I've got 2 of these, and then the mighty venerable Warhound, Warlord even. And I have one of these, but I'm shall we say I'm slightly intimidated by the models, because they're quite fiddly. They're quite small. Now the price point isn't too bad. I may do a further on video, but this is just like a brief retrospective on Adeptus Titanicus. This was the first game that got me back into it. So there's 2 box sets you can buy. There's the Grandmaster Edition. I don't know if you can still get that, but I believe you may be able to, which comes with 2 Warlord Titans and 6 Knights. Now there's a smaller edition which comes with 2 Warhounds, 2 Reaver Titans and 2 different types of Knights. You can pretty much use these from the box. This definitely helps. The biggest problem with, which I hope they sort out, is the amount of books that they brought out for different parts of the heresy. Now it's fantastic, but at the same time, if it's new rules for new things, then it muddies the waters, shall we say. With the introduction of the Horus Heresy game, Legions Imperialis, the Warhounds had 2 new weapon systems added. 4 new weapon systems added to them. So the sprue that I got in this one is very different to the sprue that I got in Legions Imperialis. However, all the models from Adeptus Titanicus can be used in Legions Imperialis, which is quite a positive thing. Unfortunately, this video is starting to run in length, and I probably will do some more parts to this, because I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Again, it's a price point, just like in Legions Imperialis. Some of the models are big as Titans. Some of the Knights, there's one particular Knight which is bigger to the Titan, and the price point is a bit ouch. Now, this is a lot cheaper way than doing the 28mm models, because a 28mm model at the time of doing this video, I think a Warlord Titan in the 28mm scale is like £2,000. I could be off. I'll probably actually say probably closer to £1,500. I think the body is about £1,000, and then it's all the different weapon systems, and then it adds up. So yeah, it's very expensive. Anyway, as I do parts to this, and I will try and make them more regular, interspaced, as these videos are going to become way too long. Thank you for liking. Please subscribe. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe. I do believe that I have a lot of epic content that I could certainly share with you guys. It's a very big thing. Wherever you are, whenever you are, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.